In case you didn't see my video from yesterday, one thing that we talked about is how more and more people are starting to catch on and realize that interest rates are going to be higher for longer, if not go even higher than they are today, based on where people think mortgage interest rates are going to go. So people are already realizing that inflation is a problem in this country. Otherwise, they wouldn't be expecting mortgage rates to go even higher over the next few years. But according to Richard Bernstein, who is the CEO of Richard Bernstein Advisors, he says that because of the U.S.'s massive trade deficit, which is at about $773 billion last year, this extreme imbalance could lead to trouble for the economy and can cause even higher inflation here for us in the future. So basically, he says that we need to reindustrialize our economy or face higher prices as a long-term consequence. And this is because of deglobalization. You know, we're starting to see more and more areas of the world not be so friendly with each other and not have as favorable trade laws as we once did. He says if this doesn't happen, we're going to have tremendous inflation here in the US, because right now we're depending on the entire world for everything at a time when globalization is starting to contract. So imagine it, guys. If you can't get certain things that we're used to getting, and say you have 10 suppliers of any given item, right? And then the amount of suppliers goes down to 2, just like we saw during the pandemic, then the price shoots sky high. So you think inflation is bad now? It can get much worse if we don't start making things here in the US again. Then you can also argue, well, if we start making things here in the US, the cost of living is so high, we have to pay our workers here significantly more money, so we'd have to charge more for those products anyhow. Well, that's a fair point, but at least we would be self-dependent. If you're going to pay more no matter what, I think it would make more sense to put that money into the pocket of fellow Americans, as well as also have the security of knowing that we got things under control for ourselves here. The billionaire Ken Griffin, he also says the same thing. He said last year, in fact, that high prices could stick around for decades as fragmented world trade will disrupt supply chains and push up costs for consumers. Like, we're already feeling this now, but this could just be a small taste or a preview of what's to come over the next couple of decades if they don't fix this. Now, there is some manufacturing coming back to the US. There's a lot of, there's that big chip factory happening in Arizona, and Apple's gonna start making some of their products here again. But you know, we're far away from bringing back all the manufacturing that we once had before. But right now we're making more semiconductors here and EV cars and solar panels. So, you know, that's some stuff, but it's definitely not all the things we need. In fact, you could probably do without 2 out of the 3 of those things. I think the semiconductors are the only thing we actually do need. But these guys are saying, listen, if we don't go back to the manufacturing levels that we saw in the United States during the 1950s and the 1960s, then we're basically doomed. And I think that means we're definitely doomed, because I just don't see it happening, guys. Like, is it possible? Yeah, but I think it's a long shot, and I don't think the probability of anything like that happening is going to happen anytime soon. Just like everything else, it's going to take a major catalyst. Like, the Fed isn't going to lower interest rates until the system starts crumbling down, right? They need a catalyst to do that. The government won't stop spending until they absolutely cannot spend any more, until it's impossible for them to continue spending, right? So there always has to be something to change these people's behavior, so there's no other option. So just like this, I think the scenario is the same. Until we literally cannot import half of the goods that we used to because countries refuse to sell it to us, then that will force us to start making it ourselves if we deem that we need to have it. Nobody wants to be proactive on anything anymore, you know? Nobody wants to get ahead of the game. They just want to wait until everything is in shambles and then fix it later on, which I think is the worst approach. You know, that's why all these condos here in Miami are in trouble, for example. You know, you have these buildings that are 50, 60, 70 years old, a lot of them with 20 to 30 years of deferred maintenance since they've done any major renovations or upkeep on the building. And now all of a sudden they're facing, you know, tens of millions of dollars in special assessments to catch up that people can't afford. So we're going to be facing the same sort of scenario with our economy if we don't get ahead of this stuff. So right now, the latest recession prediction is that we might now see a recession in early 2025, which is something a lot of people kind of agree with, that it's going to happen after the election, right? Well, it's predicted that if this happens, the stock market will go down by anywhere between 30 to 50%, which is going to be a major crash for that. And also, you're probably going to see other asset prices fall with it, probably real estate as well. Here's the thing, and we're probably all thinking the same thing at this point when we hear the word recession, right? You know, we heard that there was going to be one starting in 2023 because it was already looking like that was going to happen as of 2022, right? We had those 2 negative quarters of GDP that made it seem like we were in a recession, and by all measures we were, but they weren't going to come out and admit that, right? So since then, the GDP figures have been positive. They never called the recession, and now it's already 2024 and it hasn't officially hit, even though a lot of people think we already are in a recession, including myself. But it's important to realize out there, first of all, if you think we're not in a recession, the only reason we're not is because of all the stimulus, guys. All of the money that was printed during the pandemic, all of the money that is coming down the pipeline to stimulate the housing market. I talked about this a lot in yesterday's video. All these programs that still exist to literally get people into a house with no money down are re-emerging at a time when the housing market is sinking. You know, people are spending all this money on credit cards, and the amount of delinquencies is going up on those cards. The interest rates are higher than ever. More and more people than ever are using buy now, pay later to finance everything that they buy, including groceries today. All that stuff points to a recession, including the continually inverted yield curve that we have. But then so many people are like, well, we keep hearing all this stuff. Why hasn't it happened yet? It's because the sheer amount of stimulus that is still happening has been enough to keep us out of one, at least officially so far, guys. If you want to go by the official stats and figures, then all of that stimulus has been enough to keep us out of one up till now. But there will be a point when this comes to an end, because, you know, right now, this continual stimulus is helping people get into homes they can't afford one. It's giving money to people who don't want to work through welfare, and all these, you know, illegal immigrants coming in, giving them free money. That's all inflationary. Then you got student loan forgiveness, you know, giving those people free money. So a lot of people are getting free money still. That's stimulus. That works towards creating higher inflation. It also works towards keeping this economy robust, right? Making things look greater than they really are. But here's what I will tell you: if you're tired of hearing about this upcoming recession, rather than being concerned about when is the recession finally going to hit, you should be concerned with, am I ready when it does hit? That's the question I'd be asking myself moving forward, okay? And it's not that hard to be ready, guys. I talk about this on my channel all the time. What can you do to be ready? Be completely out of debt. That means all forms of debt, maybe except for mortgage debt, assuming you can afford your mortgage. So no car payment, no credit card payment, no student loan payment, no buy now, pay later payments. All that stuff has to be gone. You have to be saving a good chunk of your income rather than spending it on debt right now. That's the first way. If you're already able to accomplish that, then you can be investing in whatever you choose. Maybe it's gold and silver. Maybe it's investing in this crazy high stock market, which I wouldn't recommend, but hey, people do it still. But there's things you can do to hedge against the future, right? And even if you do invest in the stock market and it does crash by 30 or 50%, like we're talking about here, eventually it will recover. You know, it might take years to recover, but if you hang on to those stocks, which are assets, you're owning shares of companies that, assuming they don't go out of business during the next downturn, are going to make a comeback and are going to eventually be worth more money again. And you can take excess cash and stick it in a high yield savings account earning over 5%, or treasuries that are earning over 5% today. These are things that everybody can do. There's no excuses on why people can't do this, guys. I'm not giving suggestions like Grant Cardone and you should go out and buy your first real estate investment property at $20 million, a 200 unit building like this one behind me here. You know, I'm not saying people should do stuff like that. But these are things that everybody can do that can help protect you against the future downturn that is inevitably at our doorstep. It's funny because all news lately seems to be good news for the market, because no matter what kind of news we get, the stock market seems to go up, okay? But that's not going to last forever. In fact, they're saying that this recent jobs report that we got at 175,000 jobs is another thing that boosted confidence in this whole soft landing scenario. But in reality, when you dig deeper into it, it shows you got lower job openings by a long shot, and that's going to get revised down like it always does. You have lower hires, and the quit rating is also starting to go down. These are all things that signal us heading into a recession. Another thing most of us don't even think about over here is China. China's in trouble right now. China's basically going through what we went through back with the GFC, guys. Their housing market is crumbling to pieces and their economy is in trouble. Unlike the US, they're saying that China's not going to come in with a massive rescue package and bail out the Chinese economy over there, which is yet to be seen. We don't know that. But if they don't, what that's going to do, it's going to have an impact on us here in the US because we buy so much from China. So if business is not doing well for them over there, it's going to be harder for us to get goods here, which also increases inflation and makes things more expensive, like we just talked about in the beginning part of this video. And the most notable person that thinks we're in a recession already is Danielle DiMartino Booth. Okay, you guys have probably seen her at least on one of these interviews that she's been doing, because she's been doing, it seems like, hundreds of interviews on YouTube with different people. She has her own YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure she used to work at the Fed. She has insider knowledge on how all this works, okay? And she's saying that we're already in a recession, okay, guys? So far, you know, we've already lost 22,000 jobs in May and it hasn't even been a week yet. She says we're seeing a major pickup in job losses on a seasonal level right now. For the longest time, she's been saying all you got to do is look at the revised down labor figures, which is the jobs numbers that continually get revised down to basically squash this idea that we're going to have a soft landing. And I agree with that, you know. And how can you argue with somebody that used to deal with this on a daily basis? Somebody who's not afraid to come out and tell you the truth of what's really going on right now versus lie to us continually like mainstream media and the Fed and the government does. She says another thing we can look at to prove that we're already in a recession is that when the unemployment rate's 3-month average moves up 0.3 percentage points from its 12-month low, this historically indicates a recession, which is also something that we have seen recently. And by that standard, that means we've already been in a recession since October of 2023. And obviously we're seeing the actual jobs figures that they're reporting coming in lower and lower. It was way below expectations for April. And like I said, it will likely get revised down. Unemployment just hit 3.9%. It is teetering on the 4% range, okay? And she also says, listen, there was 115,000 job losses in the month of April, which was seasonally higher than that of January. And again, we're about 22,000 so far a few days into May. So we're seeing more and more people cut back on hiring. We're seeing more and more people getting laid off. And it's just one of those scenarios, guys, like you don't see it until it affects you. Nothing feels like it's breaking or nothing feels like it's really going wrong until you can't pay your own bills. And another reason why all this might look a little delayed and why we're not feeling it as much is because a lot of times when people get laid off from these, you know, big companies, they get severance packages. And those severance packages, you know, can pay you for months after not working there anymore. And they're saying that this is going to get shortened up as well. So the amount and the size of these severance packages is going to start going down as these companies are starting to become less and less profitable. And one thing I've said, I don't even know how many times in previous videos, guys, like what is the problem with just being ready? You know, like I don't understand why people are against and have this mindset like, oh no, I should just stay fully invested into everything that I was when things were still going well, and just imagine it's going to go like that forever, rather than put a little bit on the side for a rainy day and be ready when things do go sour, because inevitably they will. There's no way we can stay in this eternal summer forever. We're not going to be in this situation where asset prices continue to just go up, guys. It's impossible. We can't do that. Unless people continually make a lot more money to compensate for that, to support these prices, things will have to come down at some point. But I think the biggest part of this issue is that our culture in general has just been led to believe so many things that are not true. Like the other day I made this entire video about how we were lied to from day one, you know, based on this promises that you're going to go to college, you're going to get a good job, and you're going to be able to afford a house and, you know, have a family and still have extra money in the bank and retire comfortably, right? Well, now that that's not really possible for the majority of Americans, people are believing things that they see on TV, especially the younger generation, into thinking that somehow they're going to get rich one day from these things they see on TV. For example, for the longest time, the most sought after job for today's youth was they wanted to be like me and like other people on YouTube. They want to be an influencer. They want to be a YouTuber. That's what they want to be when they grew up, you know? Well, now that narrative is shifting thanks to all these reality TV shows on Netflix like Selling Sunset and whatever else they have on there that make this totally unrealistic lifestyle look attainable. Kids today are saying now the number one thing that they would like to be is a luxury real estate agent, okay? They say this is the job they wish they had because they say luxury real estate agents operate in a realm where opulence and dreams converge. They navigate a world of breathtaking properties from sprawling estates to penthouses with skyline views, offering them an insider's look into the lifestyles of the rich and famous. This career is envied for its glamorous blend of luxury, negotiation, and the thrill of closing the deal. So these stupid TV shows have gotten into people's heads so much that they think that they're going to be the next hot ticket on Selling Sunset, guys. Like, that is totally unrealistic. As a former real estate agent, I can tell you only the top 1% of the 1% of real estate agents will ever make it to that echelon of selling real estate, okay? And it's not even about selling real estate at that point. It's about your contacts. It's about who you know. If you've ever seen any of these shows, that's how these guys get these top dollar listings. It's because of someone they know that got them the listing or gave it to them. It's not because they're inherently talented or because of anything else. It's just because of who they know. And so if you're somebody aspiring to do this, if you don't know the people who are going to give you those type of listings and have the reputation built up to receive them, then you're never going to get them. It's that simple. And also, I can tell you one thing, is the thrill of closing the deal goes both ways, because a lot of times in real estate you don't close the deal. So imagine what that thrill is going to feel like when you can't pay your rent or your house payment because you're trying to struggle in a market like this, guys. Like, luxury real estate is not doing well right now. Despite what you see on these TV shows, yeah, they can make a lot of money off of one commission, but there's a lot of headwinds against these people right now. First of all, we have the NAR settlement that hasn't even been completely resolved and official yet. The new rules are going to go into place in July of this year, and when that happens, a lot of these luxury real estate agents might just be flat out of business or taking a major pay cut. And these people, they spend like no tomorrow, guys. Like, honestly, I hate these shows, but my wife watches them and she loves them. So I've seen little pieces of it here and there, and the things they talk about and the way that they spend their money is just kind of unbelievable. Like, there was a guy on one of them saying, oh, I'm going to get this $100,000 commission from selling this house, and you know, when I do, then we can afford to renovate our house and or buy this new house or whatever. So it's like they're constantly working for that next commission and already have it spent before it's even in their pocket, even in their bank, okay? So that's not the type of lifestyle you want to strive for if you want to be successful in life, because those people are just one step away from being homeless themselves with this luxurious lifestyle that they try to live. And in case you haven't noticed, these people are selling these homes. They are not living in them. They're not the owners of these multi-million-dollar homes, and it's almost impossible to ever be in that position if you're solely just selling the real estate. Because yeah, $100,000 commission might sound like a lot, but it isn't when you're living in Orange County, California, okay? Just between the cost of living there and how much the state of California is just gonna take away from you like that, you're not gonna have much left in the end. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't have dreams and aspire to be something. I'm not trying to crush anyone's dream. I'm just saying to be realistic. If you're somebody who watches these shows and you're younger and you want to be a real estate agent because of this, be warned, guys, because I kind of fell into the same trap, but just on a much lower level. Like, I decided to become a real estate agent because my mom used to watch all those HGTV shows, and I was watching those shows with her one year at Christmas time, and she's like, how come you don't do that, Michael? Because I wanted to just have my own business and work for myself. And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. They're showing all the commissions that they're making on there, like, oh, they made $15,000 from selling this house. They made another $10,000 from selling that house. Like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. And sure enough, I did do it. But they make it look so easy on TV. They don't talk about any of the failures. They don't talk about all the offers that had to be made before that one got accepted and actually closed. They only talk about the closed deals. They never talk about all the deals that didn't close. And they never talk about all of the frustration, all of the lies you have to deal with from clients, as well as from other real estate agents trying to constantly stab you in the back and take your business. None of this stuff ever gets discussed on these shows. They just make it look easy and make it seem like you're going to be living the lifestyle of the rich and famous within your first year of doing business, guys, which is just so far away from the truth. I even see people on these shows that, oh, it's my first year in real estate. I'm going to sell $5-10 million of real estate this year. Like, huh? Good luck with that. Some people get lucky. I've seen it happen, but it's not normal, okay? So just be realistic with your expectations. Even with YouTube, you know, people that want to do YouTube for a living, this year's going on 5 years for me on YouTube, guys. It took a long time to build this channel up to anything substantial. And a lot of people don't want to put in that initial groundwork that needs to be made in order to make something successful when it comes to any business. Like, people think this is easy. Go look how many videos I've published on my channel, guys. I have probably almost 1,000, if not 1,000 videos on this YouTube channel. And guess what? I have a second YouTube channel about iPhones. It's a very much smaller channel, but I've made, you know, several videos on that channel. So I've made over 1,000 videos as a YouTube creator. That's a lot of practice. It's a lot of failure. It's a lot of trial and error that people need to go through to learn how to do things. So there is no shortcut. Whether it's to being a YouTuber, being a luxury real estate agent, or any other idea you have your mind set on. Is it attainable? Yes. Is it going to be like you see on TV or how other people are experiencing it? No. Everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own path, and it will be different for you, whether it's better than you expected or worse than you expected. Honestly, guys, I do want everybody who watches my channel to succeed, and that's why I talk about these things, not to discourage anyone, but to give people a realistic outlook of what they can expect. And if you have that, you can plan accordingly and have lower expectations, and when something good actually does happen, it's much more worth celebrating, right? Rather than having the bar set so high that if you don't hit those expectations within the first year of trying to do something, then you consider yourself a complete failure, which is not true. Not trying to get motivational on you, but hopefully it was here at the end. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.